Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moments. What if a simple post actually holds a much deeper meaning than what appears on the surface? Jungkook has once again shared Jikook fan art, and as usual, the fandom reacted immediately. But this time, the focus is no longer solely on the quality of the artwork, but on the decision behind sharing it. Is this simply an appreciation of art? Or is it a reflection of a consistent stance he has shown all along without needing to explain it? At the same time, we also saw moments of togetherness among the other BTS members at a warm and elegant dinner. The atmosphere felt calm, intimate, and special. Yet once again, two names were missing: Jimin and Jungkook. The question arises again: is this just a coincidence, or a pattern that is slowly becoming clearer? In this video, we'll be discussing everything, from the meaning behind the shared fan art, the evolving dynamics of the fandom, to the absence that might actually speak louder than presence itself. So make sure you watch until the end, because this time, small details might not be just details. As we've seen, Jungkook's post may seem simple at first glance, just a piece of fan art passing by on the timeline. But when you look closer, the decision to share it opens up many possible interpretations. Visually, the artwork is certainly worthy of appreciation. The details are neat, the emotions feel strong, and it carries that distinctive concert fan art vibe that feels both lively and personal. Pieces like this often capture not just form, but more subtle emotions. However, the main point goes beyond the artwork itself. What's more interesting is the fact that Jungkook consciously chose to share it publicly. This is where we begin to see a pattern that has actually existed for a long time. Jungkook doesn't seem to run his social media based on fandom pressure. He doesn't appear to be adjusting himself to meet certain expectations or trying to balance his posts to avoid reactions. What he shares feels direct, personal, and consistent with his own preferences. Looking back, this isn't the first time he's shared Jikook fan art. The reactions in the past have been varied, ranging from support, to questions, to subtle pressure from some sides trying to influence his choices. There have been attempts to direct what he should share, as if he has an obligation to meet those expectations. But Jungkook's response has remained the same: no response at all. He hasn't offered clarification, hasn't tried to counterbalance with other posts, and hasn't shown any signs of being affected. This attitude, while seemingly simple, actually delivers a strong message that what he does comes from his own choices, not from compromise with external pressure. This phenomenon also reflects a dynamic often seen within fandoms: the urge to compare and balance. When one interaction appears, some people feel the need for a counterpart, so everything seems fair. But this perspective overlooks a fundamental fact: that Jungkook is an individual with personal preferences, not a representation of a system that must maintain narrative balance. If one day he shares a different type of content, it should be understood as a personal decision. And if he continues sharing content related to Jikook, the simplest and most logical explanation is that he genuinely likes it. Not everything needs to be framed as strategy or hidden meaning. In the end, the healthiest response might simply be acceptance. While some try to influence what he does, Jungkook continues on his own path. He doesn't seem interested in adjusting himself, and that's exactly where the clarity of his stance lies. On the other hand, the current atmosphere within the fandom is also influenced by the upcoming concert in Japan. There's a mix of excitement, curiosity, and rising expectations. Japan itself holds a special place in their journey. Many important moments have happened there, from memorable performances to interactions that felt more intimate. But amid all that excitement, there's one thing that needs to be maintained: expectations. The situation now is not the same as it was a few years ago. Jungkook and Jimin now show a calmer approach in expressing themselves publicly. Their interactions are no longer as expressive as before, but that doesn't mean distance. It reflects growth. It's possible that the closeness is still there, just expressed in more subtle ways. If you pay close attention, small moments still appear: a slightly longer gaze, a meaningful smile, or simple gestures that are easy to miss. This change reflects maturity. In the past, their interactions were often spontaneous and open. Now, under greater scrutiny, becoming more selective is only natural. External pressure also plays a major role. Every interaction is analyzed, interpreted, and even debated. In that kind of situation, choosing to be more careful makes sense. That's why it's important for fans to adjust their perspective. Expecting a repetition of past moments can lead to disappointment. Instead, being open to new forms of interaction can create a more meaningful experience. Often, it's not the big moments that leave the strongest impression, but the small, almost unnoticed details. The things that happen naturally tend to feel more genuine. At the same time, we also saw updates about other BTS members, J-Hope, RM, Jin, and V, attending a celebratory dinner. The atmosphere was elegant, warm, and felt like a rare pause in the middle of their busy lives. But the attention doesn't stop at what is visible, it also goes to what isn't. Jimin and Jungkook were once again absent. Yes, Suga was also not seen, but his situation is easier to understand since he left earlier and likely had other commitments. Meanwhile, Jimin and Jungkook's absence feels different. This isn't the first time, not even the second. A pattern is slowly forming. Similar situations have happened before, when other members were seen together, but the two of them were not present in the same moment. This brings back the same questions. Where are they? Why didn't they join? What did they choose to do while the others were together? Interestingly, both of them have mentioned before that they enjoy spending time together away from the crowd. This statement provides important context. When a preference like this appears consistently, the absence no longer feels random. It becomes a choice. Logically, this makes sense. With packed schedules and constant public pressure, private time becomes extremely valuable. The chance to enjoy each other's company in a quieter setting is not something easily obtained. What's also interesting is the fandom's response. In many situations, small details are often amplified. But in this case, some choose silence, and that silence feels noticeable. At the same time, many fans still recognize it, not to force a narrative, but because the repetition is too consistent to ignore. There's a subtle thread connecting one event to another. On the other hand, the way Jimin and Jungkook live their lives also clarifies things. They don't feel the need to explain every decision or share every moment. Precisely because of that, whatever is visible, no matter how small, becomes more meaningful. From a broader perspective, the situation is actually quite simple. Regardless of various interpretations, what stands out clearly is a consistent sense of comfort, a connection built on the habit of choosing each other among many options. Their absence is not just about not being there. In many cases, that's exactly where meaning is formed. Because when a pattern appears repeatedly, it becomes difficult to see it as mere coincidence. In the end, maybe this isn't about finding a definite answer, but about how we choose to understand it. Whether it's a simple post from Jungkook, visible moments of togetherness, or repeated absences, they all point to the same idea. Not everything needs to be explained to be understood. Sometimes, what's most real appears in the most subtle ways. So instead of forcing conclusions, perhaps what matters more is learning to observe, understand, and appreciate what already exists, as it is. If you have your own thoughts or theories, write them in the comments. I'm curious how you see all of this. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss other interesting discussions on Jikook Moments. See you in the next video.